Sons of discipline and respect. As the weather turns colder, Hum's thoughts shift to practicalities. Winter clothes for Tony. Today is the weekend. Let's rest at home. Tomorrow we'll go to school. Tomorrow we'll go to school. Be good. You're so good. You have to eat like that. Eat like that to be good. Eat. Eat to get your health. Tomorrow we go to school. This song. Prepare for the cold weather. Go to the market later. Let's buy 1 or 2 sets of winter clothes to bring to school for Tony. The concern is palpable. Adequate clothing is a basic necessity, yet often a luxury for those with limited means. The arrival of cold weather in Vietnam's northern regions can be brutal, and proper attire is crucial for health and well-being, particularly for a child. This detail underscores the vulnerability of Tony and Madame Chow, relying on the kindness of others for fundamental needs. He's grown up and wears short clothes, like this shirt. It's all short, the caregiver notes, emphasizing Tony's rapid growth and the perpetual need for new provisions. Even a charity group's donation of a thick shirt is remembered, a small blessing in a life often defined by scarcity. The search for clothes for Tony and then for Madame Chow continues, reflecting a meticulous, almost parental concern from Hung. He carefully selects items, prioritizing warmth and practicality. These windbreakers are nice. Choose for Tony. It's a bit big, right? Tony's clothes are rarely sold in this market now. Clothes are too small. Yes, this one is okay. This one has elastic band underneath. It's very warm, right? Take this one. He considers durability and comfort, recognizing that these clothes aren't mere fashion statements, but essential protection. The scarcity of appropriate sizes in local markets, especially for children who grow quickly, is a common challenge in developing economies, further highlighting the precariousness of their situation. Hung's benevolence extends beyond Tony. He also insists on buying new clothes for Madame Chow. "I'll buy this. Give my mom another set," he states, referring to Madame Chow with an affectionate term of respect, Mom. His actions transcend the formal duties of a police officer, embodying a profound sense of filial responsibility, a core tenet of Vietnamese culture. "Let me hold Tony, buy it. Give it to Grandma. Wide leg pants to wear comfortably. Let me see which fabric is better. Mainly check the fabric. Do you have any shirts for the elderly around 50 years old?" He inquires, his attention to detail unwavering. He is not just buying clothes. He is providing comfort, warmth, and a quiet reassurance that they are not alone. This dedication is particularly striking in a society where the elderly sometimes face challenges, making Hung's consistent support a powerful statement of compassion. As the market day draws to a close, the focus shifts to Ha, Tony's mother, who, we learn, has been busy with work. Hung intends to deliver the new clothes and the rice cooker to her, and also to take Madame Chow to visit Ha. "When I get home, I'm tired of carrying them. I'll give them to your mother later. I'll also give this set of clothes to your mother. I'll also give this pot of rice to your mother today. You and your child stay at home. I'll go to your mother's house." The logistics reveal Hung's commitment, a separate trip, specifically to ensure Ha's comfort and well-being. "The other day, your mother called. Let me ask you to bring it. She went to visit her son at work to see how he was doing. I don't know how he was working. She was curious. She wanted to go there to see what time he was going to pick her up. This detail suggests a complex family dynamic where Hung acts as a bridge, facilitating connections and easing burdens for Ha and her mother. The narrative takes a turn as the scene shifts to Ha's mother, Madame Chow, preparing to visit her daughter. She has stayed up all night making Ha's favorite cakes, a labor of love that speaks volumes of a mother's longing. Last night, I stayed up all night to make cakes for my son. My son really likes the cake that I made. Today I came to visit him. He must like it very much. Today my son must be very happy. This moment, filled with anticipation and maternal affection, is poignant. But anticipation soon gives way to disappointment. "Hello, son," Madame Chow says as Hung arrives. "I have to go to the office for an urgent meeting. The director called. Mom has prepared everything." "Well, now the director called for a meeting, so I have to go. What can I do?" "Mom, what can I do?" Ha, unable to meet her mother, expresses her regret through Hung. The director's urgent call, an unavoidable professional obligation, becomes a barrier to a cherished reunion. Madame Chow's heartache is palpable. "How sad. I'm excited to go today to see my son. Last night I made cakes for my son. Now he says he has to go to a meeting, but I can't see him. I miss him so much. What can I do?" Her disappointment is profound. A mother's love thwarted by the demands of modern life. She finds solace in a poignant resignation. "Well, I have to accept company matters, director. I can't refuse to call a meeting. I'll try as long as my child's future develops. I'll be happy. I'll go see him tomorrow." Her willingness to defer her own needs for her child's professional advancement is a classic expression of Vietnamese parental self-sacrifice. Hung, witnessing Madame Chow's quiet sorrow, tries to find a solution. He offers to take her. "If not, Mom can take the bus tomorrow. Tomorrow Uncle Hung will go to the office. Mom can take the bus." But Madame Chow, ever mindful of not being a burden, makes another choice. "Let's catch the bus to go by bus. It's warmer. If not, then wait for you. Grandma won't visit Ha anymore, so let me go home and take you." Her decision to rely on public transport, enduring potential discomfort rather than inconveniencing Hung, speaks to her humble nature. The impending cold and rain, mentioned earlier, now add another layer of concern. It's cold and rainy. Taking the bus is better than traveling a long distance, but if it rains, you might get sick. It's hard to go out. Tony is still young and it's cold and rainy. It's easy to get sick. Let's go home and take the bus. She prioritizes Tony's health, even over her own desire to see Ha. In a broader sense, this reflects the stark realities of rural life in Vietnam, where access to private transportation is limited and public options, while available, often mean exposing oneself to the elements. Madame Chow then offers to stay at Ha's house, to look after the farm and the home, a generous offer that ensures the continuity of care for Ha's property while she is busy with work. "I'll go in there to look after the house for them. When I have free time, I come back." It's a pragmatic arrangement born of necessity and mutual support, a testament to the close-knit familial structures that often define Vietnamese society. Hung, touched by her generosity, expresses his gratitude. "I always help CA look after the house on behalf of CA. I thank you. It's nothing. You're so thoughtful. You take care of your daughter. I'll take care of my daughter. Thank you. I'll take you in, and then I'll go to work right away." The exchange highlights a deeply ingrained sense of reciprocal obligation, where support is given freely and gratefully received. As Hung leaves for work, he drops off the gifts at Madame Chow's place, unaware that his own biological mother, Madame Han, is observing him from a distance. This is the moment where the true emotional core of the story reveals itself. Madame Han, consumed by regret, watches her son, the police officer, Hung, embodying the very qualities of care and compassion that she, in her past, perhaps failed to provide. I hope this time when I go to her house, she'll see my son. It's been so long since I've seen him. I miss him so much. I hope to see him once. She yearns for a reunion with her son, Hung. A reunion she feels she doesn't deserve. The sight of him, so diligently caring for another elderly woman, Madame Chow, and her grandchild, intensifies her pangs of guilt and longing. It seems like no one's gone anywhere. I'll wait a while, wait for her to come back to ask for news of my son. It seems like my son. I have to go into hiding. I don't dare face him. Her shame is profound, forcing her into the shadows, a silent observer of the life she once might have shared. The weight of Madame Han's past mistakes hangs heavy in the air, a silent burden carried in her gaze as she watches her son, Hung, from afar. I'm hiding here, looking at my son. I have to redeem the house before I dare face my son. These words, whispered with a raw, aching sincerity, reveal the depth of her shame and the impossible condition she has placed on herself for reconciliation. The mortgaged house is not just a financial burden, it is a monument to past misjudgments, a tangible barrier between her and her son. It symbolizes her failure and its redemption, her hope for absolution. She yearns to rebuild, not just her home, but her very identity as a mother worthy of her son's affection. This quest for redemption through material means often echoes broader societal shifts in Vietnam, where rapid economic changes have seen land values fluctuate wildly, often trapping individuals in spirals of debt or opportunity. For Madame Han, the house is more than property, it is her last hope for peace. Hung, oblivious to his mother's hidden presence, carries out his duties with characteristic thoughtfulness. He retrieves a forgotten package from his car. Oh, I forgot. CA bought you a set of clothes and asked me to bring them to you, but I left them in the trunk of the car. I forgot to let him go get them. He brings new clothes not just for Tony and Madame Chow, but also for Ha, further cementing his role as a provider and caretaker. CA also bought clothes for you. Yes, why don't you save money for Tony to go to school? The caregiver remarks, highlighting Hung's generous nature and the ever-present concern for Tony's education, a critical pathway out of poverty in Vietnam. Hung, ever modest, downplays his generosity. That's not much. The scene continues with Hung's practical arrangements for Madame Chow. He's built a pigeon coop, another small act of kindness. The pigeon coop is beautiful, isn't it? Did you make it? Are you skillful? Yes, I always help you. CA did it, Grandma. It's been 2 or 3 days since I've been able to release it. I'll release it later, okay? Okay, after that, you feed it and get some water. Let it drink. Okay, it's so beautiful. This detail paints Hung as a man of many talents, resourceful and dedicated to improving the lives of those he cares for. He accepts a few of Madame Chow's homemade cakes, a token of her gratitude and affection, before departing for his official duties. Aren't you going to eat the cakes? Yes, okay, I'll take them. Let Ha go. I work a lot, but you take them with you. Eat them whenever you want. Yes, okay. Let me try the cakes I made. Yes, take care of your health. I'll go now. I'll come back this weekend if I have time off. His departure is a blend of duty and promise, a commitment to return to his surrogate family. The journey ahead, more than 100 kilometers, will take about 3 hours, a testament to the distances many rural Vietnamese must travel for work, further underscoring the sacrifices made by families like Ha's. Once Hung has left, Madame Han emerges from her hiding place, stepping into the house with a palpable sense of trepidation. She confronts Madame Chow, the other mother who now receives the care she once denied her own son. "Oh, Grandma, do you have anything to do here?" "I miss my son so much. I came in to see if I could meet him." "He just left. Come a little earlier and you'll meet him." The irony is cruel. She has missed her chance to see Ron her past. "I saw him too, but I just stood from afar. I just watched. My grandma didn't dare face my son. Please sit down." Her confession is steeped in self-reproach. She cannot bring herself to meet Hung's gaze, burdened by a regret so profound it paralyzes her. This powerful moment speaks to the universal human experience of regret, of opportunities lost, and the enduring difficulty of seeking forgiveness. Madame Han's conversation with Madame Chow reveals the chasm of her remorse. "The police kept buying you beautiful clothes. I also always think he's beautiful. The police have always cared for me since the moment my mother and I recognized each other. They're attentive. They always pay attention to my health, how I dress, etc. The police always care about me." There's a slight confusion in the transcript here. Perhaps Madame Han is observing Hung's care for Madame Chow and reflecting on his innate goodness, or perhaps the narrator is speaking to Madame Han, contrasting Hung's kindness with Madame Han's past. Let's assume Madame Han is expressing her admiration for Hung's compassionate nature and perhaps her own internal struggle with her past actions. "I also missed the opportunity, Grandma. If I hadn't stopped them before, they would probably have cared for me like her." This line cuts deep, a bitter acknowledgement that had she not pushed her son away, she might have received the very love and care he now bestows upon another. Madame Chow, with quiet wisdom, tries to offer solace. "It's okay, Grandma. I know my mistake now, but my son, if you forgive, you will certainly enjoy these blessings. Your children care. How can your children abandon your mother, Hung, and Ca? I think it's great. Thoughtful and very caring." But at that time she was angry and didn't think about it. Now she's embarrassed, but her children don't dare. "I really hope that you will forgive me." Madame Chow, recognizing the universal pain of a fractured family, understands Madame Han's internal battle. She encourages Madame Han to believe in her son's capacity for forgiveness, to overcome her shame and seek reconciliation. The reference to Hung and Ca, likely Ha, Tony's mother, or an affectionate term for Hung himself, highlights the collective support system that surrounds her. The conversation turns again to the mortgaged house, Madame Han's albatross. "From now on, I will make up for my feelings for you more than before. So how's your house? Can you redeem it? When I mortgaged the house, it was only worth 600 million. The other day I met the owner and she said that now the real estate price is unstable and it has to increase by another 200 million before she can redeem it. The soaring property prices, a common phenomenon in rapidly developing Asian economies, have made her redemption efforts exponentially more difficult. A 200 million VND increase, approximately $8,000, is a formidable sum for someone already struggling. This economic reality adds another layer to her personal tragedy, a cruel twist of fate that impedes her path to redemption. She said to wait a week for her to talk to the family. That's right, ma'am. When you sold it to someone else, the price was different. Now it's different. But no matter how different the price is, you still try to redeem it so that mother and child can reconcile. The urgency in Madame Han's voice is clear. The house is not just an asset. It is the key to unlocking her son's forgiveness, a symbol of her renewed commitment to their bond. Only when I redeem the house can I dare to face my son, Madame Han reiterates, her voice thick with emotion. Her self-imposed exile from her son's life will continue until she can reclaim this piece of her past. She acknowledges her mistake. But I myself don't dare, ma'am. Because of my mistake, I don't dare to face him now. The regret is profound, a mother's aching heart. He usually goes to work on weekends. Hung only gets off, then he comes back. CA also, to come back on weekends. Tony doesn't study, then he gets off on weekends. But if he wants to see you, it's on weekends. You come back today all the time. CA also just left. The missed opportunities sting, reinforcing her sense of inadequacy. Madame Chow, ever the realist, offers a blend of encouragement and practical advice. So you try to gradually. I hope that you and your mother will reunite and redeem the house. Now the land is going up. People are demanding more. I'm also trying to get the house back. Try to tell the landlord to let you redeem it so that you and your mother can reunite. I will try to get the house back as soon as possible. She understands the difficult economic landscape, but champions the ultimate goal, familial reconciliation. Madame Han reflects on her past, a poignant self-assessment. At that time, you were too impulsive and hot-tempered like me. Today, I made cakes to go with my child. My child went to a meeting and couldn't see me. I never delved into my children's stories and their feelings. In the past, I was impulsive. Now that I think back, I feel regretful. Her words are a stark confession, a painful recognition of past failures, particularly her emotional distance and impetuosity. She understands now, seeing Madame Chow's similar disappointment at missing how her own actions must have impacted Hung. It's a moment of profound empathy, a realization that her son's emotional needs were perhaps unmet due to her own shortcomings. Madame Chow, the steady voice of reason, offers her final counsel. Well, what happened has happened. Try your best. Now I can only advise you to try to fulfill your responsibilities as a father and mother.